Hi everyone, today is August 27th, 2019, 73 degrees Fahrenheit, 23 degrees Celsius. Currently, I'm at Carl Schurz Park right now, and that is Gracie Mansion in front of me, the home of the New York City mayor and his family. Unfortunately, this is probably the best shot of the mansion that you can see from this vantage point because there's a lot of security over there and the New York City Police Department has a checkpoint. But in this video, I'll be taking you on a walk of 86th Street in its entirety in the Upper East Side, starting from the neighborhood of Yorkville, which is part of the Upper East Side. So here they're doing some renovations to the East Side Esplanade. This is the East River, and it does seem that the waves are a little bit rough here. You can see Roosevelt Island over there and Astoria in the far distance. Straight ahead of me is the Astoria public housing buildings. Wow, the waves are really rough. They're really breaching up on that wall there. Over there is the Triborough Bridge, the RFK Triborough Bridge as it was renamed, and the Hellgate Bridge, which is famous because it runs over the Hellgate, one of the most treacherous waterways in New York City. Rumor has it that there's a 18th century, I believe, Spanish vessel that sank in the Hellgate with lots of gold underneath, but it still hasn't been recovered yet. So let's get this walk started. So this park, Carl Schurz Park, is a very nice neighborhood park on the boundary of the East River. It's actually named after a mid-19th century German immigrant who actually became a senator from the Missouri state. So just imagine that. A German immigrant came to the United States and actually became a senator. Now, if you don't enjoy this narration, I did do a walkthrough of 86th Street from Lexington Avenue to 5th Avenue and then all the way back to this park in a non-narrated video. You can check that one out. I'll leave a card in the upper right corner. A lot of the blooms aren't really as colorful as they could be because the weather has been getting a little bit cooler recently. Just in the past week, we've had the first inklings of fall weather coming to New York City, with temperatures going into the high 70s. That's a cute little dog up there. People like to walk their dogs in this area. It's a very nice neighborhood park. Nice benches, you can get a great view here. Now this section right here, this spiral staircase, is one of the nicest areas of Carl Schurz Park, in my opinion. I do apologize if I'm pronouncing his name incorrectly, but it could be Schurz or Schurz. I'm just trying to be careful because some of these stones aren't even, and the worst thing I want to do is trip and fall. Then I'll have to rename my YouTube channel as Action Crawling instead of Action Kid or Action Kid Walking. So you see people there doing some gymnastics, and some nice exercises. I'm not exactly sure what kind of trees these are, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're Japanese cherry blossoms. But you can see a lot of the natural rocks out here.
He's going.
So 86th Street actually goes all the way to the west side, but it gets cut off by Central Park at 5th Avenue. And then it starts up again at Central Park West, otherwise known as 8th Avenue. It's very interesting that every single side of Central Park has a street that's renamed according to the direction. 59th Street for Central Park South, Central Park West for 8th Avenue, and 110th Street for Central Park North. But the only exception to that is 5th Avenue, which keeps its name throughout the whole stretch. So this corner is particularly interesting. I like it. It has a lot of nice charm to it. It's actually called Henderson Place. It's actually its very own landmark district, this area. It was built as a development site for people of modest means. You can see here by the sign, Henderson Place Historic District, 86th Street. This is actually a private street, dead end alley here. Although it was built back in the day for people of modest means, no doubt this section of Manhattan has experienced rapid price increases and now is one of the most expensive places to live. So that's it, Henderson Place. It's very odd to have a street like this in the middle of all these skyscrapers and big buildings, but here it is. And if you're curious about the price of these homes, I would estimate that they're at least 7 figures expensive. So you'll need a lot of money in order to afford a place there. So this section of the Upper East Side I'm walking on is called Yorkville. I'm actually getting towards York Avenue. A curious note, York Avenue isn't named after York as in England, but instead it's named after the World War I hero Sergeant Alvin York. They're doing some construction work on the building across the street. You see some ropes extending all the way to the rooftop. And then there's some more construction here. Look at this. A brand new building is going up on 86th Street. Okay, so I had to edit out a dog walker in the video because she didn't want to be recorded, but she was walking a dog that was barking at other dogs behind me. But 86th Street is very common for people to walk their dogs. Here's York Avenue that I mentioned before. Here's another house, the 455. I believe this is 86th Street. Yeah, 455 86th Street. Nice exterior awning there. This whole area is full of scaffolding. I know it's a running joke in New York City. Everywhere you go is scaffolding, but it's true. But 86th Street doesn't get a lot more busy until I pass 1st Avenue, which is the next block. It's still very residential over here. But this area of the Upper East Side has a lot of concentration of residents. But the Upper East Side in general is a very affluent area. It has its boundaries as 59th Street to the south, 96th Street to the north, 5th Avenue to the west, and the East River to the east. But just to give you some statistics, the Upper East Side is the home of the greatest concentration of individual wealth in Manhattan. So this building across the street looks completely abandoned. The Gracie's Corner Diner and Grill. Maybe it had a fire or something, I'm not exactly sure, but there's a sign on it. But I assume the Gracie's Corner refers to the proximity to the Gracie Mansion, which I started this walk at in Carl Schurz Park. Now we've got a lot of more variety of businesses, preschools. Dunkin' Donuts was back there, and as well as another food establishment. There you have it, folks, a taxi hail in person on live video. They're actually professionals at it because they did it from the middle of the sidewalk and not from the edge of the curb. But that's how you do it, folks. Just extend your arm and start waving it. Just keep a note that if the taxi driver's cab light is on, that means the vehicle is occupied and they're not obligated to stop for you. This is the entrance to the 86th Street subway station on the Q train. This is one of the newest subway stations. I believe it opened in 2016. But this train line was delayed for many, many years. But now the 2nd Avenue subway has become a reality, as I'm just about to walk past 2nd Avenue here. There's a big transportation hub on 2nd Avenue and 86th Street. There's 2 bus lines and the Q train here. It's very convenient to get to Midtown Manhattan from here. If anyone's seen Cinnamon, be sure to call or text those numbers. Okay, we're professional walkers here. The light is don't walk, and we're still walking against the light. In New York City, it's socially acceptable to walk across the light, so as long as you don't put anyone else in danger. The police rarely enforce jaywalking laws. However, they will enforce cycling laws and laws for motor vehicles very strictly. If you want to park your car here, it's $10.14 for half an hour. Those are the kind of prices that you have to pay if you decide to park in a parking garage. There's the Fairway Market across the street, the neighborhood supermarket. Here's a health food store. Well, looks like it used to be a health food store, now it's completely empty. A pizzeria, and we got a Japanese place, Kobayaki, rolls, bowls, burgers, and buns. This is PC Richard & Son, a very old business. They specialize in electronics and mattresses. Also large appliances. These street vendors for the fruit and vegetables have very affordable prices. They're very competitive when compared to the supermarkets in the area, especially Fairway Market and Whole Foods Market. Everyone wants to make a turn onto 3rd Avenue, it seems. Here's the Papaya King. You can get very inexpensive food items here, hot dogs, burgers, juices. This is the Children's Place store. All children's clothing and apparel. As you can observe here, it's getting really busy now. It is about that time where people get off work and return home to the Upper East Side, where the population density is very packed. Here's a hangout place, the billiards bar, Eastern Billiards. Well, that was East Side Billiards, not Eastern Billiards. I read it wrong. We've got Shake Shack across the street, Barnes & Noble and Sephora, as well as H&M. Here we've got a pedestrian walkway that instructs people to go around the construction. The subway station is still open for the 4, 5, and 6 trains running along Lexington Avenue. The problem with these pedestrian walkways is it makes the sidewalk very narrow and it's hard to see around corners. So it increases the risk and odds that you'll bump into someone. But I've just crossed Lexington Avenue on my way to 5th Avenue. This is Best Buy, the electronics store on 86th Street. GameStop is across the street, as well as a TD Bank and a Chase Bank. People here are waiting to board the M86 Select bus service. This bus will go completely cross town to the west side at West End Avenue. It'll actually cross Central Park through the 86th Street transverse. There's a very unique building, the Park Avenue United Methodist Church, between these two large high-rise buildings. I find this M86 bus to be very efficient, although it can get very crowded at times. But the people who live here on the Upper East Side, they don't have too many options when they want to go across town, across Central Park and into the West Side. They have to solely depend on the public buses or a private car or other means like cycling or walking. But in forms of public transportation, the buses are the only way to go. In fact, Manhattan doesn't have too many crosstown lines. Most of them are in the Midtown area and below. But the main crosstown lines are the 7 train, which runs along 42nd Street from Lexington Avenue to 8th Avenue. no, 7th Avenue. Although there is an exit at the 8th Avenue Port Authority exit, and the L train, which runs along 14th Street. There's also the N, R, and W lines, which run from Lexington Avenue to 7th Avenue on 59th Street. And also the E and M trains. Well, just the E, the M runs along 6th Avenue, but the E train runs from Lexington Avenue to 8th Avenue along 53rd Street. And there's also the F train, which runs along Houston Street from 2nd Avenue to 6th Avenue. But other than that, there aren't too many options for going crosstown. It's one of the major challenges of living in New York. Here's one of the more expensive shopping districts on Madison Avenue. Brooks Brothers across the street. I'm looking down Madison Avenue. I did do a narrated walk of Madison Avenue from 59th Street to 86th Street on the Upper East Side. That day I remember it being very, very hot. And people in the comments section just butchered me for pronouncing all the store names incorrectly. But it's pretty fun to watch regardless. Plus, I remember how to say some of the names now. Like it's not Hermes or Hermes. No, it's Hermes. I meant to say Hermé. And it's not Givenchy, but Givenchy. Here we've got a private carrier organizing the deliveries. A lot of them are Amazon.com packaging. Amazon not only delivers internet items to people's doorsteps, but now they do groceries too with the Amazon Fresh service. I always hate when that happens. People take up the whole sidewalk, and then like I try to go around them by going as far right as I can. Then they do the same thing. Across the street is the Neue Gallery, translated as New Gallery. It's actually a museum. There's a famous Austrian artwork inside. I forgot the name of it, but I'll cross the street to give you a look, and then I'll end the video. But Central Park is right there across the street. 3 blocks south of here is the Metropolitan Museum of Art. One of the best museums, if not the best museum in New York City to visit. But here's the Neue Gallery, a museum for German and industrial art. It's closed right now though. But it features a lot of 20th century German and Austrian art. This building was called the William Starr Miller House. And if you were to walk a little bit more on 5th Avenue and 90th Street, I believe, that's where you'll find, no, it's not 90th Street, it's 88th and 89th Street. You'll find the Guggenheim Museum. You know what, I'll just make a walk up there now. it's not too far away, and it'll be interesting to show you what it looks like instead of just talking about it. But yeah, I was looking up the name of that Austrian artwork, and I can't pronounce it for the life of me. This is in reference also to my Madison Avenue walk. I don't think I'll try. It's called The Portrait of Adele Bloch-Bauer I, translated as The Lady in Gold. This stretch of Fifth Avenue is also called Museum Mile, mainly because Fifth Avenue has a lot of museums on this stretch. They include the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the Guggenheim, the Neue Gallery, I believe the Museum of the City of New York is here, the Jewish Museum, the Freak Collection, which is actually around 70th Street. Don't know what else I'm missing. Oh, the Cooper Hewitt Smithsonian Design Museum. Okay, everyone. This is 88th Street, right outside the Guggenheim Museum. This is one of the most photographed buildings in New York because of its unique spiral design. I wouldn't really know what to call it. Could be like a turban or an upside down ice cream cone. But if you like this video, be sure to give it a big like, subscribe for some more adventures, ring that bell icon so you know when I'm posting a new video, and I'll see you all next time.